There's been a lot of talk about breakout sessions within Microsoft Teams and comparing it to other different products. I know that there's been a few schools and educators that have had a good look at this and they've come up with some methods, but there's a few things that I want to do to correct this, or at least make it a bit easier for us. So we're going to have a look at this soon. Check it out. Hey, it's Daryl as a service. It's evening. I'm changing things up a bit with backgrounds and stuff and having a lot of fun with Teams. While the world's going to having their own backgrounds and customizing it, I've gone for the more authentic look. Anyway, I've seen a few videos showing how to create Microsoft Teams breakout rooms for sessions. Now, this is a common scenario. If you want to run a workshop, you're running a classroom, maybe you're running a mini kind of online conference, and you want to have these breakout sessions or rooms to be able to go from the main meeting and the main area where everyone's been part of the presentation or getting information, and you go off to your small groups where there's a bit more opportunity to be able to collaborate. There's a few less people, so that means that you can talk and people feel a bit braver to be able to do so. So I wanted to go in and just have a quick look at this. There's really going to be no slides or talk of concepts in this one. I just want to get straight into it. First of all, looking at a team that I have created called a workshop event. What I've seen is there's been some variations here around how people have been doing it. First off, they do have a meeting within the channel for the main event, and this is where you'll discuss things and you'll get into the main presentation, getting across the main concepts, and it's from here where you might have your breakout sessions. If it's a classroom situation, this is where you're delivering the main lesson and then you're breaking out to discuss things or go into group activities. And so I've chosen to use a channel meeting. Now this makes a couple of assumptions. You're either doing this within your organization and you're doing it with fully licensed or full members of the organization, or in this case you might also have guests within your team, and that works too, right? And I've participated in a large conference which was run in this very way. We've scheduled the meeting within the channel so that it's easy to find. We could actually go in and make this a bit easier to find again by going edit. And you get this when you're actually creating the meeting within the calendar app, that as you tap in your subject for the meeting and the agenda, it seems that the agenda is the only thing that actually appears here when it's posted into the channel. So I like to go in and change this up and say main meeting or whatever the topic is. But at least then, and if I also go in and say at team, then it means that everyone who is a member of this team is going to get the notification, and it's also going to be easy to see. Be even better if we could do that just by default, that while I've called this meeting, go into our calendar, here's our main meeting. I probably should have changed the time here while I'm at it. It's a 2-hour event. That this subject really should be the subject of the post as well. That'd be nice. So we'll send that update. Okay, so that's at least got that there. That's our channel meeting, and that is our main event where everyone's going to attend. What about these breakout sessions? We've got a few options. Now I've seen, sorry, it's a bit further down here, isn't it? We've got breakouts A and B. Now these are public channels, and a channel is a nice way to do this. It's a virtual place to go. So there is this mental switch or mind switch as we go from the main event in the general channel and over to a channel that's purposed for the breakout. And then you can say, well, you are a member of breakout A, so I want you to go in here. And again, I've used a scheduled meeting within the channel. Why have I done this? Because it's easy to find again. I found that it has worked quite well with a couple of these sorts of events that I've run, because people will simply just click in, and the first person to join it or start that meeting can do it, and there's no problem there. It can be reused and restarted, and anyone else who comes along and starts that up will already see the thing running, so they can just join and get on with it. So that's one way to do it. What I have seen in some of the videos and advice so far is that they're using the Meet Now feature. So that is going into Meet Now here, and then dropping in a meeting subject if they wanted to, but they're basically starting a conference call, and away they go. And that works fine, but it's just that it relies on someone doing that by clicking the Meet Now. That's not hard, but we're trying to make it easier. And then there's this advice given too that, oh look, just make sure that you don't end that meeting, but you have to keep on hold. So let's have a look at that in a little while. So we've got that meeting there. It's nice and easy to join. We've also got another kind of channel too, the private channel, where if you're wanting to run breakouts where the content that is being discussed within the breakout is really quite sensitive and private, maybe it's about coming up with your own ideas as a competition and that you don't want other teams to be able to see. Whereas your open channels, your public channels here, people can just drop in and out, they can join, they can check it out, they can see the chatter that's going on within the conversation threads. It's all visible there and not private. Now, your downside to your private channels is that you can't schedule meetings within a private channel. Yeah, right? So we'll go into calendar here. If I wanted to try and create a new meeting request, I'm going to add channel, find our team. The only thing that we see here are the public channels. I guess there's some technical limitations there because the private channel is in a very private space, so private that the application can't see it, but yeah, maybe that'll get resolved at some point. So that's the downside to that. So when you are in a private channel, private breakout, that is when you do have to use your Meet Now. Now it isn't difficult, but it is just one extra step. Meet Now, fire that thing up and click, and away you go, you're in the call. Now, every time you want to start that breakout, it means that the first person to come in needs to start that Meet Now, get it going, and then everyone else joins it. So as long as you're setting the ground rules and the house rules there about how it's done, then it's not so hard, right? The downside there too is maybe, well, actually here's one other way you could try and keep everything together. We're in private breakout A. Let's start a conversation and say, breakout A meetings here, and then maybe go start all Meet Now sessions in this thread. At least if you're keeping it all in the same thread, then that's going to give some kind of indication of where to start those Meet Now, so that as we go in, we go Meet Now. That's great. Probably should change this camera here to, yeah, not that one. Go with the virtual one. Ugh. No, we can cycle through, find a decent camera. Yeah, let's stick with that one. Meet Now. Away we go. So that's me up here in the camera of the screen. So Meet Now, we're in, we're done. Yeah, just ignore all the stuff about the audio because I haven't turned on various things. We'll dismiss that. Hang that up, and we get to the end of that session. What does it look like at the end of that thread? It means there's the thread, meeting started, meeting stopped at some point there it is, and it's just a case of going back in and starting that Meet Now. So it's keeping all that conversation thread together. At least we're giving it one place to go. So yeah, those are some of the options, but what about this tip that people are giving where you start the meeting but you got to keep it open, and it feels like, I think the advice has been given that if you're the facilitator, that you keep these calls open so that you can easily chop and change between them. Yeah, I don't know about that. Let me just take a look at how that might work. I'll see if I can bring this up and running as we try and work off a number of different machines here. We've got, let's start our main meeting from here. All right, so we'll join that. Joining. And let's just go to full screen and check this out from here. So it's probably a bit easier to see. So meeting going on right there. Good. Let's add someone to that meeting. So here's our meeting participant. And let's just cut over here and show you what their experience is like. So they're in the workshop event. They're in the general channel. They can see the meeting is going. Pretty simple. And that's what a meeting looks like when it is running. The thread is there. It's right at the head of that thread, so it's nice and easy to find. You don't have to wander your way down a long conversation thread. And you just click join. So simple enough. I can see how many people are in there. Let's click join. And just mute things because I don't want any echoes just in case. Cool. All right, so I'm the participant. I am down in the bottom corner, and then I'm looking at the presenter, which is over here. And then that presenter might be presenting some content. Let's see if I can find something here that's, oh, look, there we go. Breakout sessions about this team. So here's our main session. It's going on, and our guest is the experience we're looking at right now on the desktop. So they're presenting the session, they're going through it, they're giving all their bits and pieces. And at some point they say, right, we're going to break out now and we're going to start off with our first activity, which is responding to some of the thoughts and questions and concepts that we've introduced in this first segment of our workshop. So I want you to go over and do this. So they might, I recommend going through and trying to make it really clear what's going on. So let's I'll just turn this video off here so it's a bit less distracting. There we go. Oh, see, I'm pretending to be Sarah Hussey today. So we've got our session. They're going to go through and maybe just share their desktop so they can say, this is what I want you to do. Share here. Share screen 1. So everyone, this is how we are going to use our breakout groups. We are going to, for housekeeping rules, go into Teams. You've been assigned a breakout group for today, so I want you to go in there and work with these people throughout the day. You can see them named down here. You might be breakout A, B, C, whatever we've given you. So I want you to go into your breakout room. You'll find the session has been scheduled, and you can click into this breakout meeting every time you need to go to that breakout meeting. Someone starts it, the rest of the people will see it. So let's just see that in action from one of our participants here. So just going back over to my other device, this is what it'll look like. They go into Teams. Cool. Go to breakout. Great. I'm in breakout A for now. And it's our video from our main meeting. But let's just join that new breakout. Mute because we don't want any echoes. Okay. All right. So that's our breakout. Again, I'm going to just turn this video off so it's not distracting. That's our breakout. We're in the meeting. We can talk. We can look at each other. That's all good. But we've got our main meeting over here on hold. Now, as a workshop participant, maybe that's not a bad thing. You see how it disappears, and it means that I'm not looking at that. It's fine. It's going to be there, and I can cut back to it if I want to. But what about going back to our experience here as the meeting facilitator? Now, I want to be able to go back and maybe swap between the different breakouts. So I'm still here in general. Is there any harm in me ending this general meeting? Probably not. I think that it's okay for me to be able to end that, but let's just keep it running anyway. We'll go over to breakout A, join in what's going on there. Right, so that means that our main meeting has been put on hold. Just I'll mute and turn the video off just so it's not distracting or confusing rather for this recording. So we've got in here, we are now in our breakout session with Sarah, and there'll be a couple of others that might join as well. Yeah. Now you'll see in these other videos that maybe in the teaching role that there's 2 or 3 of these things for every breakout that they've entered into. And I don't know if there's a limit to how many calls or meetings you can have on hold, but I'm sure there is a limit. So is there any harm in me saying, look, we're going to hang up the main meeting for now, and we're just going to participate in here, and I'm not going to have this, 4 calls or 5 calls open and on hold pop up every time I wiggle my mouse. Not going to be distracting. So I think that's a good thing. And then when I'm ready to maybe as the facilitator, I'm going to leave this breakout. Then I can go and visit another breakout that's running in another channel there as well. Boom, away I go. Let's go and visit breakout B, and so on and so forth. And this is how I did it for a virtual hackathon a couple of months back, and it worked quite well. What's our experience like of our people too, as we go back to them in the breakout room? So again, down here on this device, I am Sarah now. I have the main meeting on hold, so it's not distracting or too distracting for me as a participant, because I don't have 3 or 4 of them. They're not covering a whole lot of content every time I wiggle my mouse. But again, is there any harm from me exiting the main meeting? There isn't. Why is that? It's because if I go back to our main channel, which we're using our main meeting, it's really easy for me to find. I don't have to click a meet now or do anything, because the meeting is scheduled. It's right there in the channel, easy to find, no problems. So I've finished with the breakout. We can hang that call up. We can go back to the main meeting. Actually, no, I'll go back in because there's something I want to illustrate here. Let's go back in here. If we're in the middle of our breakout session and it's coming close to the time when we need to go back and head back to that main meeting, here's what we can do. I'll go back to our view here of the facilitator. Facilitators, going through different breakouts, and now they want to send out the signal, okay, it's time to come back to this main meeting. So how do they do that? Let's go back in here, and we can go at team. We're ready for segment 2 of the workshop. Please join us here now. Right. Now, before I hit enter, I want to flick over and show you what the experience is like for people who are sitting in the breakout. What do you expect to happen? I expect that there's going to be an at mention to the whole team pop up. There'll be at least a brief enough of a message to say we're about to start soon. So let's just hit that enter here now. What is happening over here on our, there we go. Daryl's mentioned that desktop there, and it's an at mention there. I could go through and I could click in and say, what was that meeting? What was that message? I could go back and see what that was. Okay, that's cool. So I haven't left my breakout. I can see the messages there. If I miss that message, what happens when the facilitator goes back and starts that main meeting again? And this is one of the reasons why you might want to jump out and back in each time, because the action of me as the facilitator going back into this meeting does something a little different. Let's join that main meeting. I'll mute that. Join that there so it's not confusing. Now what happens here on the breakouts experience of that meeting? Do they get a notification to say that a new meeting has started? Maybe they don't, because they're in the meeting, a meeting already. Yeah, see, I thought that we'd get a little pop-up down here at the bottom right-hand corner to say that the main meeting has started again. Maybe not. I guess you don't really want those pop-ups coming up when you're in the middle of a meeting already, do you? And that actually brings another point, another tip as well. Okay, some of these online conferences, there's a lot of conversation going on, and if you've been in a session and you go into another session, but people are still chattering away in that session that you're already joined, you've joined that conversation thread. So Microsoft Teams considers you to be a participant in that conversation thread. So it's going to give you notifications for every response to that conversation thread. So what do you do to try and mute that? Because if I was in a session, let's go back into breakout A, and let's say I'm joined back in here again. While you're in these sessions, the thing is that you might want to have your chat pane open so that you can have discussions going on, right? So I might want to be able to chat away there, but as people are responding and replying, those replies are covering over the box that I want to use to try and type. So good way to manage that sort of notification as you're going in there is you can mute a conversation thread, and I suggest you do that when there we go, turn on or turn off notifications. Right, so you can manage that so that you're not getting those pop-ups going up over the top of that conversation box that you might want to be using within your breakouts, within your next session. Okay, so we'll get back to what the facilitator's view is. Here we are, we're back in with the facilitator. We can jump back in here and join that from the participants, the workshop participant. Join now, so they start to join. Okay, so now we're back to people being able to participate and join. So yeah, I see that there isn't much of a problem having the calls open and running, except that when you're starting to stack 2, 3, 4 up, and keep in mind that there may be a limit to how many calls you can have on hold, therefore how many meeting sessions you can have on hold. I don't think there's any problem ending those and coming back into them when you're ready. And you've seen that when you use an @mention within the channel to say, hey everyone, let's come back to that main meeting. It's a good way to bring people in, get them back in so that they know that a meeting is ongoing. With the virtual hackathon, I was hosting it and trying to share that content live as one kind of live stream session. So I was hopping in and out of different sessions, interviewing people as they were creating things in the hackathon, and then I would also go in and say, hey, we're about to start the main wrap up at the end, and yeah, that sort of worked as well. So those are a few options. I just wanted to go over those things and those thoughts because I saw that there was various different ways to do this. I think it's really good to see the way that teachers have been picking up on this as a way of running breakout sessions for students, and you can see how this can work quite well as a workshop for running it within Microsoft Teams. Dedicating the team to the event, the channels to the breakout sessions. There was one other thing that I wanted to show you actually. Let's go back in here and have a look. We don't have to use channels, although that is the cleanest and easiest way to do it. But let's say that we were doing this within an existing team and we didn't want to just create a team for an event. Maybe we just wanted to use the channel for that purpose. So one other way to do this is that you just schedule multiple sessions into the same channel. So let's go in and create a breakout A in general channel. Back down here. General channel, yep. Breakout A. Send that through. So that'll be fine once that's scheduled in the channel. And you can see that because it is in the same channel, and if privacy and the competition, if that's the nature of what you're trying to create, then these sorts of public methods don't work as well. But if that sort of segregation or separation of the different breakout sessions isn't important to you, you could actually just create its own conversation thread in the same channel, and using that same trick here of giving that a subject, breakout session A or breakout group A. There we go, nice and easy to find. It's just a case of clicking in and out of the main meeting and finding it. Let's just join that over here from our other device. So we're back in our general channel. We can join that from over here. We can pretty much get that going. It's straightforward, right? So what does that look like for our facilitator? Back as a facilitator, we might have just ended the main meeting. We could have a number of different conversation threads here for breakout session A, B, C, all within the same channel. Then all I have to do as a facilitator is go join. Joined. Cool. Hey guys, how's it going? Yeah, coming up with some good ideas. Awesome. I see there's a lot of conversation going on there. What's that? You want to keep going for another 5 minutes? Okay, we can do that. I'll see you a bit later. I'm just going to check in on another group. And then we go back to the next session, right? So, yeah, the virtual conference I attended had, I think it was about 3 or 4 virtual meetings going on in the same channel at the same time. And it wasn't that hard to sort of chop and change between them because they were all listed up around here, much like you saw when they were on hold, except they weren't on hold. They were just there and available for me to jump and join and change and go, oh, I like the look of that session. I'm going to try that one out. No, it's not actually what I thought it was going to be. I'm going to go and try the other one. So no need to wander around everywhere and try and wear holes in my feet, or my shoes rather, maybe both. But instead I can just click on through and in. So what do you think? A few options there. Oof, 27 minutes of recording time. Sorry about that. That's my thoughts. That's my reactions. Hopefully this has been entertaining. I don't know if you've tuned in or tuned out, but you kind of know where to find me in terms of other thoughts and content. That was, can I call it my 10 cents worth, or was that more like 50 cents? I don't know. Anyway, thanks for tuning in. You know where to find me on Modern Workplace Scenarios at YouTube. There's me on Twitter. At the moment I'm taking a break from that, but I'll be back again soon. I just needed to reduce some communication channels. Catch you later.